Awesome, where LeBron is arguing with the refs and it's on the game broadcast, and then it just cuts to Caitlin Clark just working away. Snap, snap. You're doing great, sweetie.
Something significant has shifted within the WNBA, and it could have a direct impact on Caitlin Clark this season. There is a massive, highly misleading public relations narrative spreading rapidly across mainstream sports media, and they are completely misinterpreting what may be the most strategic brand expansion move of the entire year. They see Caitlin Clark sitting courtside at an NBA game holding a professional camera. They laugh, they smile, and they casually dismiss it as a cute little hobby. They frame it as a harmless off-season activity, a side project, something light and creative while she recovers from the intensity of a WNBA season. But they are fundamentally, mathematically, and strategically blind to what is actually happening. We do not operate within polished morning show narratives or surface-level fan speculation. We focus on the raw reality, corporate leverage, multi-million-dollar positioning, and the cold calculations made in boardrooms. So I need your full attention. Shut everything else down for a moment. Because what Caitlin Clark executed on that baseline during the Lakers and Pacers game was not a casual hobby. It was a masterclass in elite, high-stakes networking at the highest level. This was a calculated, multi-million-dollar brand move that quietly disrupted the WNBA power structure. Meanwhile, mainstream media is failing to grasp its true financial significance. Let's break down the reality. You don't casually walk onto the baseline of a tightly controlled NBA game. That space is among the most exclusive and heavily protected areas in all of professional sports. It is reserved for top-tier media executives, franchise owners, and global celebrities. Yet the Indiana Pacers gave her full credentials and prime baseline access. Not because she's experimenting with photography, but because she represents one of the most powerful economic forces in basketball today. Her presence alone elevates the value of the event. And in that moment, she effectively stepped into and commanded a global media ecosystem on her own terms.
Caitlin Clark was the celebrity photographer at Lakers Pacers in Indy last night. They gave her a credential, they gave her the official vest, they gave her this little chair to sit on the baseline, and I would love to know Caitlin Clark's thoughts on how uncomfortable it is to sit baseline.
Pay close attention to the reaction from the media around her. There's a level of quiet awe in how this was observed, even if it wasn't fully understood. From a strategic standpoint, her positioning was intentional. She bypassed the traditional WNBA public relations system entirely. She didn't isolate herself in a private suite away from cameras. Instead, she placed herself right at the center of the NBA's media environment. She captured attention without even stepping on the court. That alone speaks volumes. And the subject she chose to photograph reveals everything. She didn't focus on role players or sideline moments. She directed her lens toward the most valuable and recognizable figure in basketball history. She captured LeBron James mid-competition in a moment of intensity. Then she released the image to her massive audience, black and white, professionally framed, highly intentional. And the caption? Short, direct, and powerful. "The king shot by me." That wasn't casual. That was positioning.
She showed the pictures that she took of LeBron James. She said, "The king shot by me." And these pictures are great. The composition, they're focused, the lighting is excellent within them as well. All of the, look at this nice black and white shot.
Now consider the magnitude of that moment from a business perspective. She didn't just post a photo. She aligned her personal brand directly alongside LeBron James. She signaled to the global market that she operates within the same sphere of influence as billion-dollar athletes. LeBron represents the peak of the Nike empire, a multi-billion-dollar brand. And Caitlin Clark is stepping into her own era with one of the most anticipated signature shoe launches in recent memory. That connection is not accidental. It's intentional brand engineering at the highest level. She is leveraging the global scale of the NBA to expand her own market value. She's proving that her relevance doesn't depend solely on the WNBA season. She's creating her own parallel ecosystem, one that exists outside traditional league limitations. While others rely on contracts and structure, she can step onto an NBA court, take a photograph, and generate global attention instantly. Now compare that to what many veteran players are doing. They're recording podcasts that barely reach outside their own audience. They're debating league agreements. They're reacting to narratives instead of shaping them. Meanwhile, Clark is building relationships with the most influential figures in sports. She's operating at a completely different level of visibility and influence. And that gap in leverage is what creates tension. Because front offices understand something very clearly, her brand operates independently. She's not confined by the same system. She's essentially functioning as a global entity, not just a player. And even the tools she uses reflect that level of intention. That 70 to 200 millimeters professional lens she was using, that's not entry-level equipment. That's high-end, precision gear that requires technical skill and purpose. This wasn't casual. It was deliberate.
Assume that when you're that famous, like you have pictures of yourself framed, not in an ego way, just in a I respect myself as you should kind of way. But it was so funny. The Fever's photographer, her name is Bree. I forget what her last name is, but she takes great pictures, and she has a great TikTok account too.
Now look at what happened next. The Indiana Fever's official photographer made a light comment about how difficult that lens is to use. And Clark's response was immediate and telling. Don't doubt me. Wait till you see the product. That wasn't just confidence. That was expectation. And then she delivered. Sharp, composed, high-quality images. No hesitation. No excuses. Just results. That same mindset is what drives her performance on the court. Precision, efficiency, execution. She doesn't accept average results in any area of her life. And that mindset is exactly why she creates such a strong reaction within the league. Because players recognize it. They understand what it represents. She doesn't rely on basketball alone to maintain relevance. She could step away from the game entirely and still build a massive presence through media alone. Her influence extends beyond the court, and that reality changes everything. Even elite players in the NBA recognize it. Take the interaction with Luka Doncic. When asked about her, there was a brief moment of confusion. He initially processed her as a photographer, but the second her name registered, the tone shifted instantly. Respect. He acknowledged her game. He admitted he watches her. That's validation at the highest level. Because when top-tier athletes recognize your skill, it means you've already reached a level that can't be ignored. That kind of recognition carries weight, financial weight, market weight, and it reinforces one simple truth. She's operating in a space far bigger than just the WNBA. And as that influence grows, it creates pressure, especially with free agency approaching. Because now, it's not just about basketball decisions. It's about control. And right now, control is shifting. And this is where everything reaches its breaking point. Because what just happened isn't something you can quietly brush aside or reframe with a soft narrative.
Photographer, and he like paused and he was like, a photographer? And they were like, the WNBA player. He's like, oh yeah, I didn't really know. I know she was there taking pictures. I love her game and respect her game and all that. But like, Luke was in the middle of a game. We're all just like, oh, Caitlin.
This is a shift in power. A visible, undeniable shift that changes how influence works inside and outside the WNBA. For years, the league controlled the structure. It controlled the exposure. It controlled how players built their identity and how far their reach could extend. If you wanted visibility, you needed the system. If you wanted growth, you stayed within the lines. But Caitlin Clark just proved something completely different. She showed that a player can step outside that system and still dominate the conversation. She demonstrated that influence is no longer confined to games, stats, or league-driven promotion. It can be created anywhere, at any time, as long as the audience is there. And her audience is everywhere. That's what makes this moment so significant. It's not about one game, one appearance, or one viral photo. It's about control of attention. It's about who owns the narrative moving forward. Because now, every player, every front office, and every media outlet is watching the same thing unfold. They're watching someone operate beyond the traditional boundaries and succeed. That creates pressure. Pressure on teams to adapt. Pressure on players to evolve. Pressure on the league itself to recognize that the model is changing in real time. And once that realization sets in, there's no going back. Because the future of this league isn't just about performance anymore. It's about presence. It's about influence. It's about who can command attention in a world where attention is the most valuable currency. And right now, Caitlin Clark isn't just participating in that system. She's controlling it. So the question isn't whether this matters. The question is what happens next. Because if this trajectory continues, this won't just be remembered as a moment. It will be remembered as the turning point, the exact moment everything changed.